Hello, everybody. This is my Module 10 case study on parental apathy. Um, Basically, after reading the case study, some of the things that I do know for sure. There's not a lot of parent involvement in the school. There's no current PTO or PTA. And for some reason, the principal is very wary and a little bit nervous about creating these types of groups. He feels that involving parents too much might be a negative thing. It also appears that parents are apathetic. We don't really know why, but it does appear that way. And a big reason we know that is that only 8 parents show up to a meeting uh, that was requested on parental involvement. So that's what we know. What I would need to know first, I would really like to know what happened in the past to create the current situation. Uh, the the parent-school relationship seems very dysfunctional, and I guess it could have just occurred over time, but I really think something must have happened in the past, and I'd like to know what that is. Um, Also, I'd like to know how when they requested the meeting and they sent the notices out to the parents. Is that the only way they tried to contact them was through those letters? I believe they sent them home on a Friday with their kids for a meeting the next week. That doesn't seem very efficient to me, or a very good way of going about doing it. And if it is truly that the parents are apathetic, what is it? Is it are they? Is it a working class neighborhood where parents are just busy? Transportation issue? What's going on? Every community, every school is different, and there's probably good reasons that the parents appear to be apathetic. I would like to know what those reasons are. I think there's really two problems, and when I first did this, when I went through it, I was really focused on fixing the big problem. And the big problem is that, for whatever reason, it appears that the parents of that school are not participating in school activities. They don't want to be involved in the school. That's the overriding issue. And when I did the case study, that's what I really kind of focused on. Um, but as I went back and read it, there really is a short-term problem in the case study, and that is, should the meeting be finished or not? I was a little surprised that the principal would even consider, um, not finishing that meeting, and I think that that's an immediate problem that has to be addressed, and I'll talk about that when I talk about the resolution of the problem. Um, excuse me. My plan of action really is just to find out what's going on. The first thing I want to do is I want to find out what happened on the day of the meeting. Why did only 8 parents show up? Was it a communication breakdown? I mean, did the parents even? How many parents got the handout taken home by their kids? My kids are always forgetting to give me things. They'll say, "Did you sign that paper?" No, what paper? Well, I gave it to you last week, and it's in their book bag. So, what happened? Um, did the parents even get that? Was it a bad time? Was there something going on that night? What was the reason? I find it hard to believe out of all those parents that only 8 would show up if they all knew about it. Um, I would really like to know what happened to the previous PTO. Why did it disband? Did something happen? Was there a conflict? Did they disagree on something? Was the person that was in charge of it just move away, stop doing it? Um, you know, why did parent participation change? One time they did have it, but both sides seem pretty negative about it. The parents and the head principal. So I want to find out what happened. Throughout the case study, we really know what the principal thinks. I want to know what the parents are thinking. Uh, what's their perception of the situation? The principal's blaming them for being apathetic, and that may be true. It could also be that they feel uncomfortable at school. A lot of people from middle class or upper class backgrounds, and they feel real comfortable at school. Other groups, they don't. They've had bad experiences at schools. School is not a positive place for them, and they pass that on to their kids sometimes. And they're not going to school unless they have to. And usually when they have to, it's not for a good reason. So maybe that's the case. Maybe they don't like the principal. He seems to be giving off kind of a bad vibe. Maybe that's part of it. But I think I really need to find out what the parents are feeling and thinking in this situation. So that's really my plan of action. Get some information and find out what's going on. The strategies I'm going to use to implement the plan of action is, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to communicate with all the parents, using a variety of methods to get feedback and insight. Um, I'll try emails. I'm gonna call. I'm gonna get out in the community. I'm gonna go places. If I see them, I'm gonna ask them. Just straight up ask them. What's going on. What do you think's going on? How come? Not so much why they're not involved, but why they think more parents aren't involved. I'm gonna go to school events. And ask them. The parents that are there obviously do feel comfortable. What do they think's going on? Once I kind of have an idea of what's going on, I'm going to try to fix those problems. If they don't feel comfortable, I'm going to try to make them feel comfortable. And there's lots of ways of doing that. Um, we could just special events for parents, open houses. A lot of times in athletics we feed the players after a scrimmage, and we invite the parents. Things like that. Activities, besides sports, maybe other things going on. Just try to get them there any way we can. Get them to the school. Um, Once I know why the parents are uncomfortable, or just why they don't come, we can start to fix it. And hopefully, as I speak with them, I'll get some insight and have some other ideas on how to make them feel comfortable and get them involved. Um, Another thing I would do to help me get this done is I think I'd reach out to other schools, community groups, and local agencies to see what they perceive to be the problem. If there's a problem, somebody's aware of it, and they might not be telling us, but they're aware of it. People talk. They're going to talk about the principal. They're going to talk about the school. I'm going to reach out to those other groups that maybe aren't as biased and as involved. They give me a more objective look at how my school is perceived, and hopefully that'll help me figure out what I need to do. So problem resolution, short-term problem. I would definitely continue with that meeting, and that would be I would use that as a stepping stone to finding out what needs to be done to get more parents there. I mean, the principal states in the case study that only eight parents showed up, and it's not a representative group of parents. Well, that might be, but they're the ones that showed up, and they're the ones that want to be involved. And to cancel the meeting would just be a slap in the face to them. And if that's something he would even consider, I'm thinking he's a big part of the problem, because that would just be very disrespectful and rude to do that to the parents that did show up. And so I would definitely continue the meeting. The long-term problem, hopefully after all my research and talking to people, I know what the problem is. Communication has to be improved. Only getting people there, 8 people to that meeting is bad. Has to be a better way of communicating. Emails, calling, texting, alert, message systems, word of mouth, calling tree, whatever it is, newspaper ads, radio ads. Is it a language issue? I mean, what is it? Hopefully by now I know, and I can start to effectively communicate with the community. I would try to change the principal's attitude, towards parental involvement. He does seem a little bit negative towards it, but he seems to want to do something. He didn't want to have that meeting. He says he does talk to parents in the community. So I think he's kind of on the fence right now. I would really try to change his attitude. I would research, maybe give him some studies that show how parental involvement helps students perform better. I would take on the responsibility, make it easy for him or her. Or I guess it's a he. But he said parents are better off left alone. Well, he knows that's wrong, and I just have to help him see the error of his ways. And that's kind of a tricky thing to do as an assistant principal, but it's something I would have to do. And then also, I guess the main thing is I try to make the parents feel welcome. Schools need to be a welcoming place. Some schools you walk into and you just feel comfortable. People greet you. They make you feel welcome. It's an open environment. Others, you walk in, you just get a bad vibe. And I would do everything I could to change that. Debriefing, what was I feeling and thinking? Mostly frustration. That you got two sides here that both appear to be apathetic or negative um, about the situation, and it's just kind of frustrating that something that should be kind of common sense and so easy isn't occurring, and that's frustrating. Um, Also, I'm real curious. I'm curious as to what's happened in the past. To get to this point. Was it one specific event, or did it happen slowly over time? Either way, I'm real curious. I'm also a little apprehensive. If I make all these efforts, what if the parents really are just apathetic? What if the principal, um, you know, re- resents me trying to make changes? So maybe I'm, going to bring up some kind of bad situation from the past, and that's going to make things worse. So I'm a little bit apprehensive, but overall, I do know it needs to be done. Unresolved issues, the principal's attitude, that's kind of up in the air. How he's going to feel about all this. Without his support, nothing's going to work. I can be the most welcoming person in the world and do all these changes, but if he doesn't embrace it and get on board, it's not going to work. So that's still an unresolved issue. The second one, maybe parents are apathetic. Maybe people have tried. Maybe people have tried these things before and it's never worked. Maybe they have real good reasons for it, for not coming to that school, and they're just not going to. Hopefully that's not the case, but that is a possibility. Um, and then the third thing is, will the involvement be positive or negative? It can be true sometimes that the more you get parents involved in, athletics or schools, uh, it's not always positive. Overall it is, and it's something that needs to be done, and it's their school and their kids, and so they certainly should be involved. But it can create problems, and so that does remain to be seen. Uh, Reflection on the standard 4, component 1. How do I collaborate with families, community members? Well, I think just show them the first thing, just continue that meeting. Working with people that did show up. It shows how to collaborate. And then finding a better way to communicate with parents. It's obvious that the way we've been communicating is not working, and so by collaborating with them in ways that work for them, um, that's how you do it. That shows that I would do that. Component 2, responding to diverse community needs and interests. One, making parents feel welcome. That's a big part of my strategy, is to make the parents feel welcome. The other thing I try to do is make it convenient for them. The old saying that when you go fishing, you need to use bait that the fish like, not what you like, is really true. I need to make it so that those parents can and are able to easily participate and come to meetings, and uh, that's one thing I would have to do, and in the case study I did that, and that responds to their needs. And then the last thing here, mobilizing community resources. Again, continuing with that meeting shows that I would work with the people that are there, the resources that I do have, even if it's only 8 parents. Then also reaching out to other groups, in the community. There's resources out there to help you get things done. You just have to reach out to them and ask for help. Um, so that's my case study 10. Thank you.